My grandmother used to love collecting quotations in a large brown leather-bound book. On lazy days, I would while away the hours by leafing through the pages, running my fingers over the delicate print of my grandma's handwriting. It told me the stories that she, at the age of 94, is unable to tell me today. When her husband, my grandfather, a military general, died in a helicopter crash at the front lines of the Kashmir conflict, she was forced to raise her son alone. And these painstakingly handwritten quotations served as her inspiration and strength to get through her tough situation. She once told me that as I experienced life, these quotes would start to make sense to me. I was skeptical, being a 12-year-old who thought I already knew everything the world had to offer by 7th grade. But as time went on, my grandmother's words held true. One particularly uneventful day, as I skimmed through the parchment pages, one saying by Confucius jumped to life for me. What the superior man seeks is in himself. What the small man seeks is in others. In middle school, I was indeed a small man, and seeking external validation played a significant role in my happiness. Imagine sheltered sanctuary animals being released into the wilderness. Thrown into an unknown terrain, they scramble to form separate packs, and being part of an in-group seems to increase their chances of survival. Well, middle schoolers are much like pack animals, and when I was in middle school, this desire to belong to a group fueled my need for external validation, to the point where I was completely insecure. In my mind, my body was too large, hair too frizzy, pants too long, clothes not cool enough, personality too studious to be validated by my popular peers. I wanted to change myself. Interestingly enough, our search for validation may be a natural instinct. According to American psychologist Abraham Maslow's theory of human motivation and hierarchy of needs, we want to belong and we strive with great intensity to achieve this goal, to get others to accept us. We all have this desire to belong, but at what cost? By relying so much on external sources for approval, we begin to lose ourselves. We become social chameleons, always morphing into different versions of ourselves, painting ourselves a monotonous gray to cover up the pinks and purples of our personalities. I found that I hid parts of my true self, like my love for Bollywood music, or my ability to sing the entire Disney Mulan soundtrack word for word. My life was like a canvas painting, in which I painted over the vibrant colors with the emotionless, cool-colored brushstrokes of superficiality. In some way, we are all searching for this fleeting feeling of synthetic satisfaction that comes from external validation, and the fear of not receiving it scares us. Psychotherapist Eileen Cohen suggested that without realizing it, seeking approval causes us to neglect ourselves and feel anxious about acting out of the norm. In simple terms, we get scared of taking risks. Take Elizabeth Blackwell in 1851, rejected by 29 schools, banned from practicing medicine, shamed by her peers. And yet, she became America's first female doctor. Elizabeth was driven by an inner satisfaction. She wasn't so concerned with other people validating her actions. After all, it was her life, not theirs. So, why was I so worried about others when looking at my life, my choices, my experiences? American poet Allen Ginsberg once said, "Follow your inner moonlight. Don't hide the madness. Don't hide what makes you quirky. Don't let yourself be a complacent conformist. Be brave enough to express yourself. Take a risk." I mean, if someone like Oprah Winfrey kept seeking external validation, maybe she wouldn't have moved to Chicago in 1984 to become one of the world's most influential talk show hosts. Maybe Elizabeth Blackwell, who faced rejection for years, wouldn't have become America's first female doctor. And maybe, if my grandmother sought validation, she wouldn't have defied cultural norms for a woman in India in the 1960s. After my grandfather's tragic death, my grandmother went from living in a beautiful bungalow with a driver, car, and social status of an army general's wife to standing in the sweltering heat in exhausting lines waiting hours for food rations, with only 12 rupees to her name. Grandma is 94 years old now, and although she can't speak to me anymore, when I hold her thin, frail hand, I try to imagine how difficult it must have been for her to move past those vicious, hateful put-downs when she was just trying to move forward with her life. And when she finally got a job, working for the United States Information Service, a huge feat for a woman at the time, the stigma of being a working woman caused her friends to shun her. But she didn't let anyone shame her. And if she hadn't taken this social risk and continued working, maybe she wouldn't have, as an independent mother and war widow, built a future for her and my dad. But she did. So where does that leave me? A high school student struggling to find her feet in a world where the self-esteem social media bubbles seem to be benchmarks for happiness. How can I channel my inner Oprah, Elizabeth Blackwell, and soar above my inhibitions? Today, I think I know the answer. Dependence on external validation, no matter how much we seek it, isn't truly fulfilling. Being brave enough to take risks relies on embracing our true selves. So maybe internalizing this need for validation is the key to letting the vibrant colors of our personalities shine. What the superior man seeks is in himself. What the small man seeks is in others. I see those words of Confucius etched on a tattered parchment page. And now I finally understand what it means. Thank you.